Radio Sensation. I'm your host, Dan. And in this episode, I'm going to be looking at the book Hong Kong Action Cinema by Bey Logan. And this was an early book on the Hong Kong film stars that we all know and love so well. There were definitely earlier ones, but this one, which came out, this came out kind of near the end of 1995. So there were still a lot of good films to come, but a lot of people were starting to leave Hong Kong for the West. You know, John Woo, Jackie Chan, people like that were starting to go elsewhere. But Donnie Yen and Jet Li were still producing some good stuff there in Hong Kong. But this is a good look at this period of time in the martial arts films. So, you know, the first chapter is about two of the most important influences on the martial arts films as we know and love it from the 70s and 80s. And that is the true life martial artist Wong Fei Hung, and this is the Peking Opera, and all the people that came from, you know, got trained, and how it led to all these, how the Peking Opera spread to all these people. You know, this bottom part here is Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan, Yuen Biao. You know, they were all part of the same Peking Opera group. And, you know, the thing that made them stand out from other kung fu artists and stuff at the time was all the acrobatics they had to learn, the incredibly rigorous training they received at the Peking Opera Blues in tumbling and all the things that led them to do these fantastic parkour-like stunts and working with props and stuff comes from their Peking Opera background. And so this covers that stuff pretty well. And from there, it covers some of the early, like there's Jimmy Wang Yu, who was a terrific athlete, but not much of a martial artist, and how he became a big international star through his presence, you know, and, you know, it covers some other early stars of the Shaw Brothers films, director Chang Che, who's did a lot of early work. So it's covering this pretty well, you know, and then the next chapters go into, like, the first person who gets his own chapter is, of course, Bruce Lee. And it's, you know, Bey Logan is a huge Bruce Lee super fan, you know, so he knows all kinds of tidbits and facts, and, you know, so this is well done. How much you need to read about Bruce Lee, I don't know. You might feel like, oh, you know, I know all about Bruce Lee. But this is a good chapter if you don't, and it talks about some of the people who worked with him a lot, like Bolo. You know, talks about making Enter the Dragon and Game of Death and stuff. Then the next one is Lau Kar Liang. Now, you don't know him as well, probably, but he directed many of the best of those early martial arts films for the Shaw Brothers. He did some of the best choreographed things. The Master Killer, the 36 Chambers of Shaolin. You know, those are all his movies. He's a great martial artist himself, and he stars in a couple movies, and he co-stars in some. I think his biggest role that probably would be the easiest for you to see is he co-directed, well, he did most of the directing, I believe, on Drunken Master 2, Jackie Chan's last big period martial arts film. He's the fellow who has the fight with Jackie with poles under the trains at the beginning. And then he and Jackie fight the Hatchet Gang in a tea house scene. But yeah, that's a great chapter on him. There he is fighting Sammo. That's a picture of him from Drunken Master 2. Then we go to Jackie's next. He's got his own chapter. Again, Bey Logan tries to spice things up with some facts that were little known at the time. Now, just like with Bruce Lee, so much has been written about Jackie Chan. You know, you might definitely have some deja vu there. Very well written, though. Then, of course, Sammo Hung. You know, even though he had his own TV show here produced from the producers of Martial Law. I mean, the show was Martial Law. It was from the producers of Walker, Texas Ranger, and he even has some crossovers with Chuck Norris's show. Still, most people don't know who Sammo is. He never had a big breakout role. But, you know, Sammo's still making movies, too. And, you know, some would say he's at least as important as Jackie because the way he shot his movies. He and Jackie, I think, were influencing each other. They were from the same Peking Opera School. They considered themselves brothers from the time they spent there together. So there was a lot of rivalry between the two to one-up each other. And I think that pays off in the things you see in their movies. So that's a really great chapter 2. A chapter on the Chinese ghost films. You know, these are not the gross out ones that a lot of the Hong Kong exploitation articles write about, you know, not like Centipede Horror and stuff like that. This is like the movie Chinese Ghost Story, or here's Lam Ching Ying from the Mr. Vampire films. So they're not the gross out films. They're the ones that have the kind of fantasy and martial arts mixture. But that's a really good chapter 2. Then here's one on John Woo and the people the other gunplay people he inspired. So, you know, like I said, while this book was being done, he's already, you know, this shot here, that's a shot that was done for publicity by the Hollywood bunch, I think, or at least that's how it was used for all the things talking about him coming to the U.S. Here's one of the films inspired, Ringo Lam's Full Contact, one of the most over-the-top fun action movies, one of my favorites. Definitely worth checking out. Then there's a chapter here on the action comedies. So this is like the Aces Go places, stuff like that. You know, I won't go into that too much. Some of these comedies are so... I mean, even the comedy in the regular films can be pretty lame. But and then there's one on the female fighters, and Bey Logan really doesn't pay as much attention as he could have for this chapter. I wish he had made this longer, but there you go. He doesn't cover a lot of the earlier ones, but what he does cover is pretty good for the time. And then the last chapter is the next generation, and this is where he talks about Donnie Yen, what a baby face, and Jet Li. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty good book. Worth tracking down if you see it. It was pretty common at one point. I don't know about that anymore. Well, it's been a long time since I've looked for these books, so I don't know how they go. But thanks for watching.